Welcome, everybody. I know we're going to have a lot more people joining us, but I wanted to get started. I am super jazzed about sharing some of this methodology with you and super jazzed about teaching you just a little bit about this method that I've been working on for about 10 years called Success Accelerator. And we're calling this the power game because we're going to try to game our biology a bit, and by gaming our biology, we're going to tap into this part of us where our power is, the power to shift our results, the power to shift our mindset. So that's really what we're working on together. And you're going to get a chance to do that. To kick us off, I want to just ask a quick question. What is power to you? So I'd love for you to type it in the chat, and Merritt, if you would kind of read those answers out as they come in. When you hear the word power, what does that mean to you? And Merritt, as they're coming in, you can just shout them out.
Sure. So I'm saying authority in capital letters. So maybe it's also capital letters. Influence, getting things done, confidence, presence, confidence again, energy, agency, ability to get your desires met, energy and movement, owning it, ownership. Yeah.
Love it. All great examples. And we can have more that are coming in. Now, the next question for you is, we all have a power potential. So there's a lot of neuroscience behind this that as humans, we're not always using all of our potential. So in the area of power, those things that we just said, authority, agency, presence, in the area of power, how much do you think you're actually using? So I'm going to have you quantify that, because by the end of today, we want to see if we can activate a higher level of this power. So in the chat, post what percent you think you're using today of your maximum power potential. And then same thing, Merritt, if you can read those out, that'd be great.
Yeah, 65, 75, 75. Ooh, 10, somebody said. Lots of potential there. 80, 60, 50, 60. Most of them are landing in the 50, 60, 70 range here. 50, 50, 70, 65. Yeah, somewhere in there. Top, maybe 2/3.
So what's interesting about that, the research suggests that if you think you're at 50%, you're actually at 2%. If you think you're at 75%, you might be at 5%. And the reason for that, the reason why there's that disparity, is because until we activate this chemical biological response that we're going to be talking about today, you don't even realize that you have access to all of this other power. So we're going to begin to play around with that today. We're going to talk about the mechanics of activating this little power switch. It's like a power high, but it's a little switch that you can flip in your body. It's the same switch that world-class athletes flip. And until you actually consciously can flip it, you're not even aware of how much power that you truly have. So that's what we're going to play with. I'm going to tell a story. So pay attention to this story, because we're going to go into breakouts in a minute, and you're going to recall in the breakouts a time where you used this same power, where you felt it in your body, you felt something different. And so my story is I had gone to college, and in Indiana. I had grown up in Florida, horrific childhood, left home at a very young age. We were very poor, had been abused. I left home, and by luck and a lot of other stuff, I was able to get out of the situation, make it to college, and was kind of trying to rebuild my life. So in this rebuilding of my life, I went to college, and I found out I was actually smart. I didn't know I was smart, but I found out I was smart. And I was working on a degree in education. So I was going to be a middle school teacher. And I had done horrible in math and science in high school. So I assumed that I was stupid when it came to math and science. And there was one requirement you needed to graduate, and it was chemistry. And I avoided it every year. My professor said, you got to get that chemistry class out of the way. You're not going to be able to graduate. And I kept avoiding it and kept avoiding it and kept avoiding it. So now I'm at the last semester possible before I graduate, and I had to take this chemistry class. And lo and behold, I get the chemistry teacher that is the kind of guy who likes to show you that you're not smart, and he didn't like education majors. And his first class, he says, 50% of you are going to quit this class after today. Another 30% of you are going to drop within the first month, and only about 20% of you will complete it. And the vast majority of you are going to be lucky to get a passing grade. So that's how he opened the class, right? So I left there totally defeated. How am I going to graduate? I've worked all this time. What am I going to do? And I was walking to the library, and for some reason, this mantra popped into my head, and I started saying, what if I could do it? What if I'm actually smart? And I remember this long walk from the science building to the library. And what if there's a way? And there was something about the phrase, what if there's a way, that I felt this resonance in my body. I can still feel it today. What if there's a way that I could pass this class? And it was this question, for those of you that are in Shiftco, you know the concept of what if up. What if there's a way that I can actually do this? And as I was walking into the library, I saw this billboard or this little board, and it had chemistry tutors listed. And I'm pulled one of those off, dialed, this is back in the day, you didn't email or Google them, called from my apartment and said, I need a chemistry tutor. Best part of the story is, not only did I pass the class, I got an A-. And the professor at the end said, you are the only education major in 5 years that I've given an A to. How'd you do it? And of course, you know, I talked about my chemistry tutor and the people that helped me and all the extra time I spent in the lab and yada, yada, yada. But now that I know what I know today, it wasn't any of that. What it was is I turned on this power switch. And a power switch is what athletes use to perform. A power switch is what they are able to flip on before the Olympics. A power switch, Patrick Mahomes, I'm a huge football fan. Patrick Mahomes activated his power switch in the Super Bowl, and nobody gave Kansas City a chance to win, but he was able, even physically hurt, he was able to activate this power switch and turn it on and unleash this unlimited potential for power. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into some breakout rooms, and Merritt's going to facilitate one of the breakout rooms. And if somebody could quickly volunteer for the other breakout rooms when I put you in there, I would love for you guys to talk about and try to recall a time when you experienced that same type of power. Now, while I'm setting up the breakout rooms, does anybody have any questions about the assignment before we go into those breakout rooms?
Terry, I see a few people who are not on camera. Is that something that you would encourage, or what do you?
I think it's better if you could be on camera. You'll get a lot more out of it. I always respect when people don't want to be on camera, but you'll get a lot more out of it if you do go on camera. But I'll leave it up to you guys. Other questions? That was a great one.
Terry?
Yeah.
Can you repeat the instructions? My computer froze and kicked me out, so I didn't hear.
Yeah, so the instructions are, you're going to go into a breakout room, and just like I just told this story of a time when I was able to kind of activate this sense of power where I knew something in my body felt different. That's what you're looking for. You've got this mindset of I can, or this, remember the phrase that I was telling is, what if I can? And what if I can actually do this? What if I can pass this class? And all of a sudden you feel like this different energy, and we're looking for a time that you can recall where you felt power in your body. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so any other questions? All right, so let me just check how many people we have in each room. One room, I think we got a little. We're going to move one person into room 3. Perfect. Let's see, exchange. I'll move to room 3. All right, I'm going to open the rooms. You're going to have 10 minutes. And what I want you to do in the room is to share a time, share a story where you felt, oh my God, like I feel this energy happening in my body. And then we're going to come back and talk about what that is. See you guys in 10 minutes. And I'll for those of you that are hosting the rooms, Merritt, you're going to take one. And you're such a great facilitator. If you could take your room, and Kathy, you're also Kathy Guggenhauer, you're a great facilitator. If you could take your room. So sorry to put you on the spot, Kathy, and I'd love for you to do it. If not, you can pick somebody else in the room, facilitate for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to come back and talk about what we learned. I'll see you guys in 10 minutes. Back from the breakout rooms, and as you're coming back, hopefully you felt that sense of, oh my God, I do have this power. And that's the first most important thing to realize, is you already have this power and you already have access to this power. It's just retraining your mind to access it and use it. So what I'd love to do next is in the chat, and Merritt, you'll help me out in kind of holler, you can tell I'm from the South, holler some of the things that come out. What do they have in common? What are some of the stories that you heard consistently as people recalled a time where they felt that power kind of pumping through their veins? So go ahead and put that in the chat, and then Merritt, if you'll just shout them out as they come in.
Yeah, the power switch came from failure and personal pain, was a theme that Samantha is saying. I also noticed there's a clarity that gets dropped into, always first preceded by self-doubt. They started with a crisis or sudden change. Yeah. Surrender and acceptance. Remember and recognize the power already there. So it's not something new we're creating, but it's something we're tapping into that's already there. Other people doubted us. There's challenge involved. There's no choice but to choose it. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Getting real with yourself and deciding that you can do it.
Love it. Well, I'm going to share the research. There's 2 things that have in common when we regain consciousness of this power. One is we made a decision or we shifted something. A lot of times it comes from failure. It could be a failed relationship or a failure in business. And this shift just basically is, it's not going to be this way anymore. And we make a decision or a shift. Now, in a minute, I'm going to show you how to do this more consciously and more deliberately. But that's one of the things the research says, that when people access this power, and it's really mind-body connection, but in a very specific way, as you'll see, they were at a moment of pivot where they needed to make a decision and alter their course in some way. The second most interesting thing in the research is the motivation is either to move away from pain or to move towards something of gain. So those are the 2 common ingredients when people access this mind-body shift. Elite athletes, I'm going to be talking about them in a minute, entrepreneurs, where something wasn't working and they made a decision to shift. And the shift is either motivated by moving away from something that's painful or moving towards something that they can gain. So that's just what the research says. So let me start with elite athletes, because I've been doing a lot of research on this and really looking for common ingredients. So we all know this, most of us know this man, if you like basketball at all. Lindsey Vonn, a lot of research I've done on Lindsey Vonn. What's interesting about Lindsey Vonn is she had a horrific accident that potentially could have ended her skiing career. And she decided that they were telling her she might not ever walk. She decided, not only am I going to walk, but I'm going to ski in the next Olympics. And she did. She ended up getting a bronze medal in her last Olympics after recovering from this horrific accident. If you're a soccer fan, this handsome gentleman's one of the world's greatest soccer players. Of course, Tom Brady, he's in a Tampa Bay Bucks uniform here. Patrick, you can't pass that up just because of the last Super Bowl. Diana Nyad, also somebody I've studied a lot. If you don't know Diana Nyad, she's the one who swam from Cuba to Key West, and it took her 5 or 6 times to do it. And then, of course, the great Serena Williams. Now, I want to point out, I'm going to lead the witness a little bit, because this is one of the breakthroughs with Success Accelerator. All of them have a personal mantra or a phrase. So Michael Jordan shifted here is several years. He didn't always use the same one, but in his last 2 championships, his mantra was winning is fun, or just have fun. Lindsey Vonn, her mantra was I can. When she basically was wheeled out of the doctor, basically saying, you'll be lucky to walk, you'll never ski. She basically, as they were wheeling her out, said, I can, I will, I can, I will. Patrick's, just be great today. So if you go back and watch Super Bowl clips from the last Super Bowl, Patrick was basically saying something under his breath. And this is what he says, just be great today. So even though they were behind, even though he was hurt, he basically his phrase was just be great today. Diana Nyad, and there's a movie coming out about her story. Look it up. It's amazing. Her mantra was find a way. And then my favorite is actually Serena's. Serena's is yes. And if you look at clips of Serena playing, you will see her mouthing the phrase yes. And she does it before she hits. She does it when she's under pressure. So they have these mantras. So kind of continuing that, we'll start with some of the great business leaders in the world. Richard Branson. Richard Branson's mantra is just have fun. Anytime in all of his books, he talks about this. They're under great duress. They have financial difficulties. They're being attacked by competitors. And his team would come together, and his mantra was just have fun, lighten up and just have fun. That's how we win. We just have fun. Oprah, I am the master of my fate. That's her mantra. This handsome gentleman, if you're in the Dallas area, Mark Cuban, Mark says sales cures all, revenue cures all. One of my favorite stories, this also is in some of the recent research, is Whitney Wolfe. Whitney Wolfe was one of the co-founders of Tinder and then left because of some shenanigans, started another company that basically has destroyed all records for business success, capital raise, shareholder returns, the whole bit. And nobody ever believed in her. And her mantra is, you'll see. She had this kind of chip on her shoulder. You'll see, you'll see. But the one that really was the breakthrough for me is not an athlete. It's not a leader. Well, I guess they were athletes. It's from the movie 13 Lives. And the movie 13 Lives, the soccer team basically were playing after practice. The guy in the center is their coach in the movie. And they went into this well-known cave during the monsoon season, and the cave flooded, and they were trapped in the cave for 13 days, might even been 14 days before they got out. And their coach taught them to meditate with the mantra, fear isn't real. If you haven't seen this movie, I encourage you to watch it, because part of the breakthrough that we're going to be talking about is how you put yourself in a high performance state so that you can overcome any obstacle, you can achieve any goal. And it really is mind-body connection. Now, if you meditate, I'm going to talk about some of the meditative ways to do. If you don't meditate, I've got other ways that I'm going to be introducing today. But here's the big takeaway. In all of the research, I kept coming across this phrase. I trained my brain to. So in Whitney Wolfe's case, she basically trained her brain to deal with rejection with this phrase, you'll see. And not with an attitude or I'm going to show you wrong, but just she trained her mind to believe with this mantra, you'll see. And then when you train your mind to act this way, the energy in your body follows. So the key is really the mind. We're going to train our mind to activate this power mechanism that, as you guys saw a minute ago, you already have. You already have this power mechanism in you. You already have access to it. You're only accessing 2 to 5% statistically. from the people who've done the neuro wiring to look at this. We're only accessing today 2 to 5%. Imagine if we could up that in the next 2 weeks to 10%. Imagine what you can accomplish. Remember, the research says we're only using about 10 to 5% of the access that we have to this power, and elite athletes are only using 40 to 50% of it. So we got a lot of ways that we can go. All right, so what are we training our brain to do? That's the big question that I started asking myself a couple of years ago. What are we training our brain to do? I'm seeing this common thread. I trained my brain to. It's really around the concept of neuroplasticity. In neuroplasticity, our brain is connected through a series of wiring. If you're familiar with positive intelligence, a lot of his research is on this. And what you're really training your brain to do is to move the way that you want it versus the way that it's conditioned. The way that our brain is conditioned in our society globally is I'm afraid to, or what if I fail? So if you think of the left side, our brain is currently conditioned to go down the negative route. I'm afraid to, what if I can't? And when our brain is wired to go down the I'm afraid or I can't wiring, we tell ourselves stories. Well, there was this time when, I saw somebody do something and I don't want to be like them. Or I don't want to mess up, or I don't want to make a mistake, or I don't want to upset my clients by making a mistake. So what happens if our brain is wired with the neurons firing down this negative set of pathways, we will tell ourselves stories to reinforce the condition. What we're training our brain to do with Success Accelerator is we're training our brain to rewire itself to go down the pathway of I can. That's how Lindsey Vonn could basically have a doctor tell her she'll be lucky if she's going to walk, much less ski. Forget the next Olympics. It's not happening. Her brain was already, the neuroplasticity was already there. Those neurons were starting to already connect. And the minute she activated I can, I will, as they were wheeling her out of this meeting with this doctor, and she basically, I can, and she started mapping out right then and there what her conditioning plan was going to be, what her physical therapy plan was going to be. And the brain basically started rewiring her body. It's one of the most fascinating stories. You'll see the same thing with Diana Nyad. When she activated that find a way mantra, basically her brain started reactivating the cells in her body, and her body started lining up chemically and electronically with this mantra of I can. So that's what we're looking at. We're gonna look at how do you train your brain to shift. And if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'm probably going to cover it in today's lesson, but if something comes in, Merritt, and you want me to cover it, let me know. So here's the first thing that you have to do to train your brain. You have to realize that goals are an illusion. Goals are an illusion. This is the hardest part to grasp. This is the piece that really took me the longest to understand, because we need goals, as you're going to see here in a minute, but we can't attach to the goal. And that is one of the biggest breakthroughs that I've had with Success Accelerator, is the role that goals play in creating success and this rewiring of our brain. So let's talk about what I mean by the illusion of goals. The truth is, what we really want is to feel good. When that power is activated, we feel good. We feel powerful. We're feeling excited. When that power circuitry, that power switch is turned on, it has nothing to do with goals. So the goal is just the decision point. It's the flash point for the wiring to occur. So remember, the chemicals that are released in your body, and I'm not going to go through all the science of it because it's not going to help us right now, but there are 4 main chemicals that get released in a certain order when this power switch gets turned on. That doesn't matter. Just know that it happens. They feel good. When that combination of chemicals get released in our body from our brain, it feels good, but it's not the goal. So we assume that achieving the goal is what's making us feel powerful. It's not. It's not the achievement of the goal. It's the activation of this power circuitry that unleashes these chemicals. That's what feels good. And so when we're tapped into that power and this combination of chemicals are activated, we have what I call a power high. And that power high is like, yeah, shit, I'm doing it. We're either breaking free of something, some pain, I'm going to get through this, or we're shifting to something that we want. And we get on this power high, and it's addictive. Athletes they condition themselves to manage this power high and to pull it out just when they need it. And when we're flipping this inner power switch on, that's the power high. Now, here's the thing you have to remember. It's not the goal that's activating the power high. I'm going to come back to this 3 times today because it's not the goal. The goal is the flashpoint, but that's not what creates the chemical reaction. All it does is the flashpoint for the chemical reaction. What actually causes the neuroplasticity rewiring and for those chemicals to move through your body is pursuing the goal. It's the action that you're taking. It's not the goal itself. All right, so I'm going to cover this a couple of times because this is the magic. We want to think about first turning on the power switch. And I'm going to give you an assignment, and you're going to have 1 to 2 weeks to achieve a goal. And using this method that we're talking about. And then for those of you that are already part of ShiftCo, you're going to have like a whole collab that you can access to support you. But everybody's going to define a clear goal or an intention. I want 1 new client, 3 new clients, $2,000, pick a number. I want to, sell XYZ business. Whatever your goal is, you're going to define it. And then you're going to focus your mind on it for 1 to 2 seconds. So this is the beginning of that pursuit flashpoint. And I learned this from studying the kids that were in that cave. Their coach trained them to focus on the goal of getting out of the cave. And he would have them visualize what it was like when they actually exited the cave. And it was always imminent, and they were focused on it intensely. And he would have them do this exercise over time. He increased it for more and more minutes. Ultimately, they were meditating for 30 to 40 minutes at a time, visualizing what they were going to do when they got out of the cave. So this focusing your mind is how that flashpoint starts. It releases that first chemical. And so let's say my goal is I want to close a new client in 2 weeks. So that's the goal. And now I'm focusing my mind, I'm picturing and I'm seeing myself, seeing that happen. I'm seeing that contract come in. I'm seeing the proposal, the whole bit. I'm visualizing. And the intensity matters because it activates the cells and that neuroplasticity starts to kick in. So it doesn't need to be long, 1 to 2 minutes. Then what you're going to do is you're going to feel as if you have it. So this is where we really start to change and release the second chemical. What does it feel like when I have this goal? And we're going to feel that emotion. Wow, I did it. And you're going to feel that sense of victory, that sense of accomplishment. You want to feel it in your body. That releases the second chemical. Then you want to add a power mantra. The power mantra seals it. And so now I've got that power mantra. It could be yes. It can be I can. It can be you'll see. I will. It doesn't matter. Pick one that resonates with that feeling in your body. And I really want you to try a couple of different mantras because you'll find the one that really your body connects to as you're in that state. Now, remember, it's not the goal itself. It's the alignment to power. It's not the goal. The goal is the flashpoint for the feeling of power. It's not the goal. Here's the second way that I want to describe that. Why do we lose access to power? Think about those times when we started off great and we were like, I'm going to do it. And then we lost that power. Think about those times for just a second. We've all had it happen. January, I'm going to lose 20 pounds this year. This is the year I'm going to get fit. I'm coming out of this power game, and for the next week, I'm going to do this. And we lose access to power. So the biggest breakthrough I've had in the last year is, why do we lose access to power? And here's why. What happens is we get out of alignment and the power shifts from inside to the goal. Here's what I mean by that. So on the right side of the screen is a college football game. Since I'm in Texas, the brown uniforms are the University of Texas. And then there's another team that's there that's trying to score, and Texas is trying to stop them. So let's pretend that I'm the quarterback for the opposing team. And I'm basically, against all odds, I'm basically saying, my mantra is score, and we need a touchdown to win this game. I am going to win the touch. I'm going to basically be the guy that throws the pass, and we're going to score. As long as I stay connected to that power source, i.e. Patrick Mahomes, as long as I stay connected to that power source and do not attach to the actual goal, remember what his mantra is, just be great today. His is not just score today. His is an internal connection, just be great today. What happens is we start to attach to the goal. And all of a sudden, the power leaves our body. And what starts to happen is we become dependent on the goal to feel powerful. Think about that for just a second. When the power shifts from inside to this idea that I have to achieve the goal to feel powerful, basically the goal now takes the power from us. This is the big breakthrough, guys. This is the key. It's not the goal. The minute we attach to the goal and we need the goal to feel powerful, we lose power, and the goal, all the power shifts to achieving the goal rather than that inner game that we're playing inside. And now what starts to happen is that's when we start telling, well, you know, it worked for Terry, but it's not going to work for me. And, oh, I've got these reasons why I can't do it. And we literally talk ourselves out of achievement. We look at our past failures. And basically, when we think we can't have or create the goal, we lose all power. That's not what great athletes do. That's not what Patrick Mahomes said. Patrick Mahomes said, I'm just going to be great today. Doesn't matter whether we win or lose. They went into that game where everybody thought they were going to lose. All of the statisticians, all of the odds bettors, everybody that was in Las Vegas had the other team planned they thought were going to win, which is the Philadelphia Eagles. And Patrick Mahomes says, doesn't matter, win or lose, I'm just going to be the greatest I can be today. Every play, every down, I'm just going to be great today. He never lost his sense of power. So that's a big part of this that we have to rewire. Is it's not the goal. The goal is the flashpoint for the power. But as we put these other pieces in place and we start to pursue it from this mantra, yes, I can, whatever it is, it's not the outcome that makes us feel powerful. It's this chemical reaction, this mind-body connection that's happening. So before I go through it and we introduce a tool to help you with that, Merritt, have any questions come up that I can answer real quick?
I saw, the only question I saw was about if the movie was about the Thailand, or that it was a true story, and then Bev answered it was the Thailand soccer team.
It was a true story, and it's an amazing story, and the movie is unbelievably amazing. They don't talk enough about what happened inside the cave, but there's a book that does, and there's several articles that does. They just covered a little bit, but if you watch the movie, you will be forever changed. But what I want you to understand is that coach was using this same methodology to get those players through 2 weeks with no food, no healthy drinking water, in a dark cave, 2 kilometers back at the back of this cave, and they survived. Not one of them died.
The other comment was from Katie, who says that she was repeating a little engine that could, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter what the mantra is. It's got to be what feels right for you. So here's the last piece of science, and then I'm going to put it all together for you. And it's called one-pointed focus. Buddhist monks do this really, really well. One-pointed focus is maintaining a point of focus. So we're going to have a goal, right? So let's just say my goal is 1 new client in the next 1 to 2 weeks. We train our mind and body to focus on that single point, a goal or intention. Doesn't matter what it is, we're training our mind. And every time we catch our mind dillying or dallying or doubting or something like that, we don't know what that's like. We just basically use the mantra to bring us back. No, yes, I can. 1 new client. So the goal is not the 1 new client. The goal is training our mind with this one pointed focus, this single point of focus. We're concentrating, and literally, I now picture it where I'm kind of like taking my mind and going, oh no, don't go there. Don't go into doubt. Don't go into those stories. Pull back to this one goal that I have, back on using my mantra, and we're training our mind to focus where we want it to. It's called one pointed focus, and it just takes a little bit of practice. And when doubt or fear kicks in, and it will, because I'm so far away from hitting that goal, we use that inner power, using our mind, to return back to the single point of focus. It's not the goal. What we're after is the ability to control our mind, so our mind goes where we want it to go, rather than in the excuses, the doubts, the stories, I don't know if I can, and last year I made this mistake, and all that crap. We're retraining our mind to go where we want it to go with a single point of focus. So it's a single point, a single goal, a single intention. When anytime you see yourself deviating, lowering the goal, changing the goals, well, maybe I should do this, or doubting yourself, you're basically going back and saying, no, Terry said for 2 weeks, I'm going to try this. My only job is to pull my mind back out of the what if downs and put it back on the goal with a single point of focus. Add a mantra. The mantra will cause your body to react more quickly to your brain. So the sealing in the mantra, as we talked about a minute ago, will cause your body to remember, oh yeah, we're supposed to be doing this. And so that helps as well. And remember, it's not the goal or the outcome. I don't care if you achieve the goal or not. What the key is understanding how to use one pointed focus for your mind to go where you want it to go. Here's what you're going to find. 1, you're significantly more likely to achieve the goal. Secondly, if you don't achieve the goal, it doesn't matter, because you have access to your power, and you'll just set a new goal for the next 2 weeks, but you've begun to train your mind to go where you want it to go. Now, I'm going to go through a methodology to do that in just a second, but I want to stop and see if somebody wants to restate what you're hearing me say in your own words about this technique that the Buddhist monks use to train themselves to focus, and it's called one-pointed focus. We're basically going to be doing the same thing with our mind-body connection, with a goal, with concentration. Anytime doubt or fear kicks in, and a mantra. We're basically, the only thing we're after is the ability to control our mind, to send our mind where we want it to go. So did anybody want to restate what you're hearing me say?
Chris put a reframe in the comments, and she said another way to think about it is staying unattached to the outcome and cultivating a nurturing belief.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to say it. Anybody else want to restate in your own words?
I think it's like a little bit like doing yoga. You're going to fall out of the pose. You got to expect you're going to fall out of the pose. And the only goal at that point is to get back into the pose. That's it.
Love it.
So knowing you're going to fall out, that's okay. You just got to get back in.
And it's exactly it. And we're using the mind to control our focus. And when we control our focus, our energy aligns. That's the mind-body connection. That's what's called flow state. We're basically using our mind to recenter on what it is that we want. And then that the mantra starts to activate that cellular memory. Those chemicals get released again. And before you know it, you're feeling powerful regardless of the goal. So it's not about the goal. Thank you for adding that, Chris and Linda. Okay, so we're going to start putting it all together. part of what's happening when this neurobiological combination occurs, this mind-body connection where these 4 chemicals start flowing in your body to the direction of your mind rather than the I can't story, that what it does is it changes your expectations. So Pat Musiak was one of the first coaches that I had when I became an entrepreneur. And she said, you get what you expect, not what you want. You get what you expect, not what you want. You get what you expect, not what you want. What I've noticed about this is when I can get that mind-body connection and that one pointed focus in alignment, my expectations go up. So we're going to look at how to put this all together, and we're really going to use some of the wisdom that we got today, this vision, the ability to see what it is that we want, this feeling of power, and activating this power source that you all already have. We already established that in the breakout sessions. You already have it. All we're going to try to do is to develop some conscious awareness of how to activate it and how to increase our access to it. So let me say that again. We're going to develop conscious awareness of how to activate it and how to increase our awareness so that we actually activate more of it. So this is what I call Success Accelerator. So it starts with having a goal, and we don't want 5 goals. We want just one goal. And I want you to do it for at least 2 weeks. So set a goal for 2 weeks. Don't care what the goal is. It's got to be something that you actually want, as you'll see here in a minute, but we're going to set a goal. 5 new leads, 1 new client, X amount of dollars that you want in your business. Doesn't matter. Set a goal for 2 weeks. So that's step number 1. Then you're going to look at your expectations and you're going to give yourself a number. So at the beginning of this, how high are my expectations? 10 is, I know I can do it. 1 is, I hope I can do it. So we're going to measure from day 1, the minute you set your goal, how confident am I in my expectations? And you're going to measure this every day. Keep a little journal. And my expectations go up? Did my expectations go down? Every single day, you're going to evaluate your expectations. Then you've got to add these 2 power components to those expectations. 1 is you want to fuel the desire. What you'll find is when you visualize just a little bit, 1 to 2 minutes a day, achieving that goal, you're going to find that your emotions go higher. So visualization activates one of those chemicals. And you start to go, yeah, I really want that. I really want that new client. Not because I need the client to achieve the goal. Let's say that's my goal, 1 new client in 2 weeks. Not because I need the client to achieve the goal, but because I desire the feeling of power. I'm not attached to the goal. It's not about the goal. I desire this feeling. I love this feeling of power in my body. The second thing that's going to happen is every time you change that train of thinking and you pull your mind back into alignment, what's going to happen is belief is going to start to increase and you're going to feel this momentum occur. That's the neuroplasticity that kicks in. And when this combination of desire, belief, and powerful expectations sear together, that wiring starts to happen in the mind-body connection, and all 4 of those chemicals develop a new pathway. Hear me. You guys are going to want to listen to this recording. You develop a new neural pathway between your mind and your body and those 4 chemicals, and all of a sudden, you start to feel more and more power and more and more power and more and more power. And then the last 2 pieces is you simply use that one pointed focus and that mantra. No matter what's happening, no matter how far away you are on the goal, you simply retrain that back to the goal. The trick is you can't attach to the goal. It's just the flashpoint. It's just the thing that you're using to visualize. It doesn't matter if you achieve the goal. The only thing that matters is the rewiring of your system so that your brain is focused where you want to go. Now, remember, I'm going to send the recording so you guys have this, but that's the combination. So let me take it from the top. So we set a goal, and the goal is the flashpoint. And remember, we want that shift to occur. And the shift is like, I'm going to do 1 new client in 2 weeks. Boom. That's my goal. And I feel that shift. And I feel you're like, whoa, I felt it. Okay, great. Now it's activated. Now take a measure of your expectations. Don't judge. So my expectations, wow, 2 weeks, I got a long way to go. I'm at a 3. Doesn't matter. I just need to know where I am. Okay, now I'm going to start that visualization. And I'm just going to start that mantra. I can. I'm picturing, wow, they need help right away. Oh, wow, they need me to do this right. I'm clearing my calendar to fit it in. Okay, give me a quick proposal, Terry. I really need it. Okay, I'm doing it. Oh, wow, boom, send them a contract signed. Woo. Now I'm feeling that desire as I do that visualization. What's going to happen is you're going to notice desire is like a magnet for your expectations. That's why that visualization is so important. All of a sudden, I'm like, I really want to do this because I love how it feels to win. And oh my God, I'm this world-class entrepreneur athlete. It feels so good. And you're going to feel desire comes up. Right after desire comes up, expectations start to come up as well. You'll notice as soon as you do that visualization and you activate desire, which releases a chemical in your body, expectations start to rise. Oh my God. And then the beautiful part is when desire and expectations start to line up, now you've got 2 chemicals activated in that flashpoint. The third chemical starts to get released. And now that basically changes another part of your brain. And as that chemical starts to come in, your belief that you can actually do it, belief is a little more long-term, expectations are more immediate. Now, all of a sudden, you start to believe that you can do it. And then you just seal that with one pointed focus with that mantra. Back from whatever you were thinking about, 1 new client in 2 weeks, 1 new client in 2 weeks, 1 new client in 2 weeks. I can. And then you'll feel that circuitry start to rewire. And then you repeat that. It's that simple. Questions on it before I just recap and send you guys off?
Kim posted a question that I think she just answered it, which is how is belief different from powerful expectation? So I just put a response, but belief, focusing on the belief is a practice over time, something we hold as to be true, right? And I think the word I'm hearing you saying, Terry, is the expectation is something specific that is attached to that one focus area.
You got it. Expectations are in the moment. I expect that I can do it or I can't. Belief is built over time. And when you raise your desire, expectations come up. When desire and expectations both are moving up, belief goes with it. Test it. And speaking of that, here's what I want you to do. Test versus learn. Test versus learn. Define a tangible goal or intention. Don't look at it as, oh, I got to learn how to do this. Just test it. Secondly, create that power mantra to retrain your focus on your goal. Do you feel that power high when that kicks in? Test your body. Measure. Do you really, really want it? What does it feel like? Do you feel those expectations coming up? Just test. Just put yourself in a petri dish for 2 weeks. Third is, do you expect you can have it? Take that score every single day. And then focus your mind intensely and visualize it to see if you can't get that circuitry activated, and you'll feel it. That's the power high that we've talked about, because when you see it, the mind believes it. Now, here's the thing, this testing, you want to use the mantra with one pointed focus and train your mind to basically cause your body to operate the way that you want. And remember, it's not the goal that activates the power high, it's this chemical combination. So that's the goal. For those of you that are ShiftCo members, we are actually going to be doing a collab, a Success Accelerator collab on this starting in June. So if that's something that you're interested in, if you're a ShiftCo member, it's a 6-week program. We're going to do 5 lessons, and we're literally going to rewire our brain and our body together. So if you're a ShiftCo member, you can go ahead and sign up for that. If you're not a ShiftCo member, check out replay this video. I promise you, you will be shocked at how much more access you will get to this power circuitry in your brain. You already have it. All I'm doing is showing you how to hijack it to go where you want it to go. I know we ran out of time, but thanks everybody. You'll get the recording. If there's any way that I can serve you, please let me know. And as